Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
Copyright disclaimer. This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to the content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles did not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of United States copyright law states material in use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principal material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright law.
Mexicano bandido, todo el barrio prendido, siempre ando bien juido, siempre poniendo ruido. Mexicanos al grito de guerra, yo defiendo mi tierra, no me dejo de nadie, yo cuido a los míos, mi raza se aferra. Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera, yo la levanto por donde quiera, verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera, el barrio prendido ya quemó afuera. Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera, yo la levanto por donde quiera, verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera, el barrio prendido ya quemó afuera. Me voy tendido, me voy empinando mi bote, un poco mareado por la bebida y el borlote, me tiene hasta la riata la gente con su mitote, pero me despreocupo, me pelan todo el garrote, me para la chota, ya es por mi apariencia, que hay tantos delitos, que hay tanta demencia, yo no cargo nada, no más mi presencia, pinche puerco joto, atente a las consecuencias, si no topa el boli en breve nos para en la calle, no puede salir uno conmigo porque ya hay detalle, no quiere que conteste, quiere que yo solo calle, quiere mi dinero pero que chinga su madre, a la dica este sistema nos quieren ver abajo, pero tumbar gente quien les dijo que es trabajo, puro chingar al indio, váyanse mucho al carajo, loco no me rajo, lo bueno porque
se armó la alianza más pesada del país, todo el mundo ya conoce las rimas de estos MCs, pa' ponerme más feliz, unos paisas de hachís, mis paisas en el gabacho bien truchas con la polis, loco en Guanajuato con los ojos bien tumbados, de coto con el quesada, rifando por todos lados, atento si prendo un blunt, en cabina cuando grabo, represento Nuevo León, junto a mi carnal el Davo, cuando voy pa' Jalisco el pasado está olvidado, con el perro de la C bien grifo pedo y enfiestado, chécate mi banderón, unido como había soñado, bien bajado ese balón, compa lefty bien bajado, puro hip hop mexa, hasta que amanezca, pásenme un mezcal y que no se apague la yesca, ya saben que aquí andamos pilas pa' lo que se ofrezca, si escribo estas rimas es pa' que se enorgullezca.
Verde marihuana, blanca cocaína, roja la sangre que escurre de una nueva herida. Yo salí de la ruina, nunca se me olvida. Con disciplina y respeto sigo en siempre la movida. Ando bien high, la vida es un freestyle. Disfruta lo que hay, vivo entre el bien y el mal, carnal. Crazy life todo el día, viendo live. Pinto tu barda con spray, lo que canto es real. Azules y rojas las sirenas que me persiguen. No suben pa' la virgen, salen todos cuando chifle. Mi barrio no lo pisen, que andamos todos grises. Maldito policía, no quiero que me revises. prende la mota en canala o en hitter. Ando con mi flota y el dealer. Tenemos lo que se te ofrezca, tú nada más pide. Me dijo mi madre que de la envidia me cuide.
Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemó afuera. Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemó afuera.
Ya, ábranse cabrones, llegó el mexicano partiendo sin necesidad de palanca. Todos jugamos en la misma liga, yo soy titular, tú ves desde la banca. Disfruto cada cosa que me pasa, colaboro y mi carrera se levanta. El mismo cabrón que antes no tenía nada se la pasa viajando y dice que canta. Por eso me caga enfermarme de la garganta. Pero aguanta, traigo mata natural y humo de planta. 2, 3 cabrones dando lata y yo haciendo más plata. De esto la vida se trata y pa' que sepas no es barata. MC Davo los desbarata con cada escalón que sube. Yo tuve la suerte de hacerme fama en YouTube. Hay 2, 3 raperos de antaño que me bajé de su nube. Los mandé pa' su casa y de premio hasta les pagué el Uber. Si alguien me tira es porque sabe bien que domino el negocio y quiere de mi parte. No quiero darlas de grande, pero si me tiras la neta me toca humillarte. Soy capitán, llevo el estandarte. Somos muy pocos los que hacemos arte. Este flow si es de Marte, tú dale like y comparte.
México lindo y bandido, diario a Diosito le pido que me cuide a la familia si un día el cora ya no late. Estoy bendecido porque me cuidan los míos. Orgullosamente me exatamos locos de remate. Jaque mate, no hable de volar si viene gateando. La cosa por la frontera se pone violenta, no importa el rango. Toda la raza jalándole duro, si hay algo seguro es la muerte en donde ando. El sudor y la sangre en la frente, los de alzada controlando. Se roban la atención, ya saben quiénes son. Vatos locos con sazón como el de un corridón. No quiera tomarme el pelo si ando todo pelón. Levantando la bandera, viva México cabrón.
Es el perrito de la C.
La bandera con un águila, Simón, mi tierra es esta. Me vale si mi piel o si mi acento les molesta. Acá jalan horas extras, nunca duermen la siesta. Están los que van pa'l jale y los que la viven de fiesta. Otros que en el pintón se tatúan de corazón. 3 colores en el pecho, morirían por su nación. Aunque su puto gobierno los puso en la situación de no terminar la escuela y terminar en la prisión. ¡Viva México, ladrones! ¿Qué hubo, les presidente? Ya saben que por mí policías chinguen a 20. Y ahí están mis 20 pa' la cagua. Aguas, que es tierra caliente de Chiapas hasta Chihuahua. Wow, 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 yipi yo, yipi yucas. Buenas, Montequín, Aguas, Tijuas y San Lucas. San Luis Potoyes, Mataulipas, La Puebluca. Dime si o no, loco, acá tienen lo que buscas.
Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemó afuera. Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemó afuera.
Puro hip hop mexa, perros, 2023.
Ey yo, ey yo.
Somos la santa carnal.
Los machilones de la plaza.
Oye, DJ Dundeca en los scratches. Desde alzada, mi perro. No saben quién soy o sí. Oye.
Viva México, cabrones.
El autor viene a decirnos con mucha firmeza y gran convencimiento lo mismo que nos decía en el siglo XVIII el barón de Holbach, ¿no? Un filósofo francés de origen alemán. Si nos remontamos al comienzo, entonces hallaremos que la ignorancia y el temor crearon a los dioses. La fantasía, el entusiasmo o el engaño los adornaron o desfiguraron. La debilidad les rinde culto, la credulidad los conserva, la costumbre los respeta y la tiranía los apoya para que la ceguera de los hombres sirva a sus propios intereses.
All right, I think it's working now. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hold on a second. Oh, something's off. Okay, here we go. Yep. Yeah, it blocks the sound out. Okay. Alrighty then. Here we go, family. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope y'all were doing well this evening. Buenas noches, buenos días, buenas tardes for you that listen afar or that won't catch it now. Excuse me, my voice is acting a little funny. So, ain't nobody on? Okay, cool. Sounds good. Let's start because I think there's a couple of people watching anyway, so that's good enough. I've shared this before with you. Topic at hand is Operation Total Extermination. Believe it or not, that's actually a term. Okay? That's actually a government term. Yeah, they're actually using it for a mission. Check this out on this book. Little reminder, and I don't know, man. People call it karma. Scriptures talk about, what goes around comes around, so to speak. The book is called A Little Matter of Genocide. Now, at the top it says, the bigger the lie, the greater the likelihood that it will be believed. Adolf Hitler. What a doozy, huh? Now it says, during the four centuries spanning the time between 1492, when Christopher Columbus first set foot on the New World, quote unquote, of a Caribbean beach, and 1892, when the U.S. Census Bureau concluded that there were fewer than 250,000 indigenous people surviving within the country's claimed boundaries. The hemisphere population, estimated to have been as great as 125 million, was reduced by something over 90%. The people had died in their millions of being hacked apart with axes, like machetes type of deal, and swords, burned alive, and trampled under horses, hunted as game, like they would chase your ass, and fed to dogs, like the book called Dogs of Conquest. Shot, beaten, stabbed, scalped for bounty, hanged on meat hooks, and thrown over the sides of ships at sea. I don't think they've ever made a movie about you guys over that. Isn't that interesting? Worked to death as slave laborers, intentionally starved, and frozen to death during a multitude of forced marches and internments, and in an unknown number of instances deliberately infected with epidemic diseases. That's a lot to experience, especially when you see it all around you, when it's actually happening. Don't forget that throughout these videos I'm going to show you. All right, let's go. Listen, this is interesting. I didn't know this, but check it out.
What the fuck is Israeli tequila? Don't piss me off. Okay, so according to reporting from LA Taco, Mexican agave experts are being brought in to help grow agave in Israel and basically trying to recreate tequila outside of Mexico. However, tequila is not just a drink. It's protected Mexican cultural heritage. By law, tequila can only be produced in specific regions of Mexico, mainly Jalisco, which is why legally, they're not allowed to call this tequila. So when other countries try to replicate it, especially settler colonial states that are committing a genocide, it's disgusting. You are taking something so deeply tied to Mexican land, labor, and culture and trying to rebrand it somewhere else. But Israel does that all the time. And what the fuck is Israeli tequila? Don't piss me off. Okay, so according to...
I obviously didn't know this shit. But this should really make you think twice about erasure. Now, I saw this video, but I'm also going to give you inside track on what occurred. I don't know if somebody mentioned this to me, but I think this is the AI portion of it. I have some video of what actually occurred, okay? So follow me here.
felony charges. The homeowner had hired 6 Guatemalan workers who had been working nonstop for several days, putting in long hours to finish the project on time, with the job nearly complete and expectations that payment was finally coming. But despite the work being almost finished, she still owed them roughly $10,000 in unpaid wages, money they had already earned through days of labor. Made a decision that shocked everyone involved. Instead of settling the debt, she proactively contacted ICE and coordinated with law enforcement officers on site. What happened next was captured on video and quickly began circulating online. The workers, still on the roof and in the middle of their job, were suddenly ordered to come down with no warning and no explanation. One by one, they were taken into custody, some of them detained immediately before they even had a chance to grab their tools or process what was happening. Witnesses at the scene were visibly upset. The situation has now sparked outrage online, with many accusing the homeowner of exploiting vulnerable workers and then using immigration enforcement to avoid paying what she owed. Prosecutors have now launched an investigation and filed charges, including exploiting immigration status to extort financial gain. If proven, this would constitute a felony when immigration status is used as a tool for exploitation. The labor relationship ceases to be one of employment and becomes nothing more than blatant exploitation and betrayal. What are
So that's the, I believe, AI portion of it. I found this on X. It says, from long time, first time. I don't know. I could see Bernie. Yeah, this is like Democratic, I believe. No, maybe more leftist. Okay. Socialist. Homeowner waits until construction job is nearly done, then calls ICE on 6 of her own workers. Woman even provides, the ladder used by agents to detain men who she owes $10,000 for a 3-day job. She called the damn law on us, and now we're totally screwed, men yell in Spanish. They surrounded us. They surrounded us. Agents even left behind the workers' vans with doors wide open, filled with thousands of dollars worth of tools. Fuck yeah, they are expensive. The arrest was broadcast live for about 30 minutes by a co-worker identified as Brian Polanco. Seeing it is not the same as experiencing it, he explains. Seen many videos, and sadly today I had experienced it. At the end of the video, he gets the woman who called ICE on camera. It is the same woman tidying up the house and still with hatred in her heart. The incident occurred in Cambridge, Maryland. Sheesh.
Ley, nos cayó la pinche ley, valió madre. Nos rodearon.
Estoy en todo el derecho de grabar, no estoy haciendo nada malo también. O sea, yo estoy cooperando, puedo cooperar con usted, no hay problema.
¿Estás grabando en este momento?
Estoy grabando, sí.
Okay. ¿Y se lo que puede por mí?
No, está bien. La verdad que yo estoy aquí, no estoy haciendo nada malo también. Triste lo que está pasando hoy aquí. Estamos empezando un trabajo y cayó migración. La verdad que perjudicando a la gente trabajadora, a la gente que hace bien al país. Qué hijo de puta decepción, la verdad. Triste lo que hacen, en vez de andar buscando a la gente criminal en las calles, a los drogaditos. Vienen a joder a la gente que trabaja. Es la misma mujer. Arreglándole la casa y todavía con el odio en el corazón. God bless America, bro! Bueno, los planes de Dios son estos, y qué puede hacer uno. Ya venir a arreglarle la casa a esta señora y que ella misma sea la que nos eche para atrás. Es triste, pero a la vez todo tiene su propósito.
Damn. What do you say to that stuff? Oh, because you don't want to pay? Like, for real? Really? Oh, because you don't want to pay? Is it that bad? That's why I read a little matter of genocide earlier. I think this is another link. Look, I hate to fucking rub it in, man, but it's like, sheesh. Scriptures talk about never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. You know, Trump deploys daughter to Iran and deports father to Mexico. The same day Jessica Martinez deployed to Iran, Trump deported her father. She's on the USS Abraham Lincoln right now, working the weapons. Her dad is in Mexico. Program that was supposed to protect him was dismantled. This is not one's family story. Yeah, this is several people. Come on, man. Like, what are you thinking? Look, I found this video and I thought it was interesting. It's Gaddafi. Look what he says. Look what he says. Look what he says. This is Gaddafi, and if you actually like history, I would suggest to dabble into his history, and you'll see exactly what occurred to him. I don't think he was doing anything but trying to help his people. You'll probably hear otherwise, but if you read history, it's not what you hear.
Tells you it is a civilized world. This is a savage world. A backward, barbaric one. It is the cause of disasters for humanity. It led the First and Second World Wars. And the Crusades and the Punic ones. And it still leads new wars to destroy humanity. This world that claims civilization. This is a backward world. And it is not controlled by the peoples. It is always controlled by extortionist powers. Exploitative, racist, and hateful powers. European peoples do not want to fight in Palestine, nor in Libya, nor does the French people want to fight Algeria or Tunisia. But the circles that constantly control these peoples, according to the government theory, the theory of tyranny and exploitation, these circles are very hateful, and they lead a hateful war against you.
That's right. Right now, we're seeing a lot of U.S. American citizens, or I don't even know how to call you guys anymore. A lot of you guys are pointing the finger.
We live on stolen land.
You know, a lot of you guys are pointing the finger. You're saying what's going on in Palestine, and trust me, I'm not for destroying people, okay? And when you hear what this lady's saying, she's talking about Khazars going over there to Israel or Israeli towns or Jerusalem and making space for themselves. It sounds just like here. No different. No different. Look.
You drink stolen water, you eat stolen fruit. I find you fascinating, Mr. Diane. I really do. I can't understand how you have such self-assurance. A man who was born in Argentina, whose family comes from the Ukraine, and is actually wanting people, sensible people, to believe that he has some connection with my country. You
just like for example, Marco Rubio, right? I'll give you an example. Marco Rubio is a European, born in Cuba, claiming to be anything of this land because he's Latin or Hispanic. It's the same concept. Now, you know what she's talking about. Just for a moment. It's here. She's talking about here, the situation here.
You live on stolen land, you drink stolen water, you eat stolen fruit. I find you fascinating, Mr. Diane. I really do. I can't understand how you have such self-assurance. A man who was born in Argentina, whose family comes from the Ukraine, and is actually wanting people, sensible people, to believe that he has some connection with my country. You and your fellow settlers, nothing other than common thieves who live on stolen land.
It sounds very familiar. You know? No different than since 1492 situation.
I often hop on the
I'm going to play this video here for you, and it's going to be a little bit long. It's not long, but it's longer than the ones I've showed you guys right now. And thank you for sending me this, bro. This is interesting. And watch what happens, and watch what she shares, and exactly the similarities, okay? This is not a joke. This is why, look, I do this. I did this channel to inform you guys about who we are, or just about what's going on, to be honest. And I don't think I'm gonna change my ways as to why I'm doing this. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue.
Internet, and I try to encourage a lot of you guys to rally in support behind the tax boycott, the general strike, and furthermore boycotting these billionaire oligarchs that are currently terrorizing the United States. And
I've shared this with you guys that this is collateral damage now. Now all of a sudden, now they're trying to get everybody as one unity. It doesn't work because we already know the convenience. We already know the reason. You can't trick somebody. It's just very difficult for somebody to really sit back and say, "Oh yeah, we trust y'all once more." Hell the fuck no, bro. It doesn't work like that.
The entire world. I want you guys to quantify where your tax dollars are actually going. And right now, they're primarily being funneled into the Middle East. So while the United States citizens lose Medicaid and Link, temporary assistance for needy families, FEMA funding.
Fact is, you didn't lose it. You know what I mean? It's just, they don't give a fuck about people. Of course they're going to prefer war. Come on.
Funding to the National Guard, the National Weather Association, the CDC, the FDA, and last but probably most importantly, the United States Department of Education. All of this is being sent overseas. And Medicaid alone poses a risk of 65,000 American citizens dying annually on the account that they don't have health care. NBC recently reported that over 400 hospitals across the United States are at high risk of closing due to the Medicaid cuts, or they're going to be significantly declining services, which obviously leads to more civilian casualties. Now, we know how this is affecting the United States of America. We know that majority of this money is being funneled into ICE, which now has a larger budget than the Marine Corps, while we're actively deploying our Marines to the Middle East. But not enough people are paying attention to what the money is actually going to in the Middle East. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. Yesterday on my Instagram and my YouTube, I posted a video showing you guys the reality through a doctor's eyes from the genocide in Palestine. It was extremely gory, it was extremely graphic, and now we're gonna talk the semantics that these businessmen often talk in these summits and meetings so you can get a better understanding of the overall objective. One of the most alarming things we have to initiate this with is what's in store for Palestinians at present. Israel, as of yesterday, just passed legislation that they have the ability to execute 10,000 Palestinian prisoners. Now, keep in mind, these are people that they have detained simply for just existing. It's very similar to the way ICE just detains brown people, contrary to their citizenship or not. So,
Shoot, did you hear that?
Palestinian prisoners. Now, keep in mind, these are people that they have detained simply for just existing. It's very similar to the way ICE just detains brown people, contrary to their citizenship or not. So
remember, keep in mind, I've been sharing with you guys since 2022 or 2023 the similarity of how that's going to come here. And that's why this is why I did this session today, because it's speaking about it. I have some, documentation video stuff that's actually going to probably blow your mind, or at least help you understand. They're talking about being done over there. But not necessarily done, fighting. You get what I mean?
Israel has officially passed legislation that it is legal for them to execute 10,000 Palestinian prisoners. And what is the significance of this? This is the first time that a state or a country since Nazi Germany has legalized execution for one race and not another. So this is what they call the solution to the Palestinian crisis. That's what, the government of the United States and Israel are referring to it as. They just intend on executing everybody in Palestine. And if you're wondering why they're actively committing a genocide with your tax dollars, well, some of you guys remember the World Economic Summit that was held back in 2025, where Jared Kushner, who happens to be President Donald Trump's son-in-law, rolled out their plans for Gaza. And I just want to show you guys what their blueprint for Gaza is at present.
This is the US's newly announced master plan for Gaza. It shows designs for futuristic high-rise buildings in the Strip, which is currently covered in rubble. The plan promises coastal tourism, and Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law who presented the plan, said the project was very doable. There's been a wave of criticism that the plan lacks detail, that it creates a huge buffer zone that reduces the size of Gaza, and that the speed and scale is unrealistic.
Anybody who's familiar with Donald Trump in business, you know that he's filed bankruptcy about 6 times himself. He's bankrupted 6 casinos. He's tanked his university. Basically anything this man has touched in way of business has been poorly executed and ultimately a fucking failure, right? And I want you to understand that the entire reason that they are committing a genocide in Gaza at present is so that they can turn the land over to one of the worst American businessmen the United States has ever seen, and ultimately the worst president the United States of America has ever seen. I want you to watch this next clip because this is the lie that they're spinning to Republicans to get them on board with the genocide and the development.
It's going to cost, where's the money going to come from, and who's going to award the contracts?
I think it's going to cost a lot of money.
What's a lot of money?
The estimates are in the $50 billion range. It might be a little bit less. It might be a little bit more.
In case you guys don't know or don't follow politics, the guy on the right side, this guy here.
Next clip, because this is the lie that they're spinning to Republicans to get them on board with the genocide and the development.
It's going to cost, where's the money going to come from, and who's going to award the contracts?
So this guy, Jared Kushner, he was not voted to do this. He was not voted in to do this. Okay? Technically, neither was him. Trump chose him for a position. He doesn't have one in the White House. In case you guys don't know this, it's like a proxy. I don't know, bro. I don't even know what the hell's going on. Listen, I told people that I at least know that I speak with on these particular topics. We saw this happen in Mexico where they went private, they privatized everything, and they bluntly were corrupt in your face because they figured if they do it in your face and they do the hoo-hoo, ha-ha, they may just trick you. I'm serious, man. It's like they're literally doing what Mexico went through. And if that's the case, then, you're about to be squeezed on oranges, like dry as hell.
I think it's going to cost a lot of money.
What's a lot of money?
The estimates are in the $50 billion range. It might be a little bit less. It might be a little bit more. I happen to think that that's not a lot of money in that region. You have governments that are going to jump on in.
Middle East countries are going to provide the money.
You'll see European participation and so forth. The beginning of this plan is how to get it going. That's what me and Jared work.
The project is estimated to roughly cost about $50 billion, and they're estimating that Middle Eastern and European countries are going to be the ones to chip in and pay for that, or essentially that's what they're telling citizens of the United States of America, because when they introduced this plan at the World Economic Forum, it was met with disgust and disdain by the rest of the world, which is all in agreement that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza. So No, it is not going to be coming from European countries or the Middle East. In fact, it is actually going to be coming from American taxpayers' dollars, like everything else Donald Trump and Netanyahu have ventured to do.
It's not about the dollars, family. It's not about American dollars. No, it's about life. It's about life. They are taking people's lives in order for this to continue. And they feed you the dollars so you can keep the merry-go-round going. That's what they do. But let's continue. She's got some messages, at least.
It's no surprise that the epigenetic mental state of the descendants of colonizers think that they're entitled to whatever land they set their sights on, and they have the ability to rob, rape, kill, and pillage anybody in their way. But the problem is it doesn't stop at Gaza. However horrific what they're doing to Gaza currently is, and what they have planned to do when they're done doing what they do to Gaza, which is very close on the horizon. Now they've set their sights on Iran and Lebanon. At present, roughly 20% of Lebanon's population has been displaced by the war with Iran. The IDF is terrorizing Lebanon. They are bombing churches, they are killing Christians and Muslims alike. They propose it as if it's some type of ethnic cleansing or religious war, but in reality, we all know that religion is just what power-hungry men use to manipulate the masses. They have IDF soldiers murdering and genociding people all throughout Lebanon, all day, every day. They are the third most displaced country in the world at present, and all of that has happened within just March alone. Their population went from 2% displaced to 22% displaced. So make no mistake, this war in Iran and the genocide that they're now initiating in Lebanon are also a land grab that they're going to pass off to, the most incompetent businessman in the United States of America. I've said this before, and I'm going to say this again, because I very much realize that Americans are so far removed from empathy and reality that you can't even appeal to their morality anymore. And I'm not just talking Republicans and MAGA. There are a greater majority of Americans who aren't feeling the effects outside of on their wallet, right? But even if you're some warmongering, Trump-loving, racist KKK member of the United States of America, at some point your self-preservation, your survival skills have to kick in. The argument goes away about morality and empathy, and it starts transitioning into
I need to fucking eat. I don't know why I hate you so much. I'm just hungry. I was influenced by other people. You know what? That's the problem. That's the fucking problem. I've said it before. There's only certain people that are going to survive when this shit does actually do hit the fan. I'm not lying, man. I don't know. I don't like to talk like that. But man, oh man. If you guys already, if you've been watching this channel, or at least the news, you should know that there's other countries already doing rationings and shit. Come on now.
Right now, you are funding a genocide, okay? So the reason that you don't have free healthcare and your children's education system has been defunded and children are being shot in school and ICE agents are executing American citizens exercising their constitutional rights in peaceful protest, or their constitutional right to bear arms, while you lose taxation with representation and constitutionality, it is simply so that they can commit genocides and develop land that you will never see. This should speak to every Republican maggot, okay? At the end of the day, your country is falling into ruin because they are attempting to commit a genocide in another one so that they can build it up to their liking. And I don't understand why they're not currently investing in the land that they were voted to fucking run. Please make this make sense to me, because at the end of the day, I cannot stress this enough. Even if you don't have morality or empathy, at some point, logic, reason, and self-preservation. And
at some point, you're going to be hungry, be like, oh my God. I see that Mexican over there surviving and shit, and I'm starving. I just don't feel comfortable asking him for some help. Come on. Once that shit hits the fan, all of that stupidity gets out the door. Why? Because you realize how manipulated people have and can be. And even within their own self-preservation, that really tells you who they are, man. Not a lot of people that you think are there will be there.
Survival have to kick in. This just does not make sense. It just simply doesn't. When I talk about it not making sense, when I talk about self-preservation and survival, I mean that literally, okay? I've done a lot of the work that you guys refuse to do. It's an open book test and you're failing, so feel free to copy off me. What a lot of Democrats in Congress know at present is the manifestos that the alt-right has written, like Project 26, Project Zephyr, and Project Esther, okay?
Hold on, she didn't name it. They also wrote Operation Total Extermination. Oh, shit. I'm serious. I'm not kidding. I'm serious. I'm not kidding. Hey, what up, bro? Hey, man. Good to have you here. Hold on, let me say it. Thunder Loco. Shit's funny, dude. That's funny. All right, let's continue.
And this is why they will not sign off on funding TSA, the National Guard, or FEMA, because in the budget that funds all of these different organizations, they want more funding for ICE. They want more funding for ICE because within these projects, it mentions that they want to use ICE to eradicate the United States of 100 million citizens. Citizens, okay? Not immigrants, not illegal immigrants, not brown people, American citizens. That is 1/3 of the population, 100 million American citizens. And herein lies the issue. Whenever I talk about the threat of nuclear war or genocide, whenever I talk about the Gestapo or whatever, you guys always try to act as if I'm overreacting. You tell me it's not going to happen. And dear God, I genuinely hope so. A lot of you guys like to twist the narrative. Oh, it's not going to happen tomorrow. Next week. I never present a timeline. I never say for definitive certainty that it is going to happen. I am telling you that this is a very real threat that not enough of you are taking serious enough. Just the fact that this type of rhetoric can exist out in the open should sound the American alarm to take back our government. And
see, that's the thing. A lot of stuff that she says, it's true. But then it goes, take back our government. Take back the same thing that's in the mix. It's the same pudding, the same soup, the same tortilla, the same everything. Let me let her finish it and I'm going to show you something.
I don't know how many different ways I have to give you guys the non-violent options of the tax boycott and the general strike and the strike of the oligarch and voting and protesting and demonstrations and whatnot. But if you guys do not start participating, what is happening on the other side of the world will hit American soil. We are a country that is only 250 years old. We've already genocided the native and spent 400 years.
No, you didn't genocide the native. Please stop talking stupid shit. Anyway, so I appreciate that. But let me show you something real quick. You know how you can tell when something's going to happen again? You can tell when something's going to happen again. I kid you not. When you understand a little bit of history, okay? And even the Bible, the big book, talks about that. Ecclesiastes 3:15 says, that which has been is now. Here, let me make it simple. It says here, oh, hold on, that's even more complicated. It says here, whatever is has been before, and what is to be is now. See, whatever it has been before, is it like English? Socrates or some shit. Whatever it has been before and what it is to be is now, because God makes searches for the things which are past. Hey, let me just read it this way. It says, that which has been is now. So that which had been is now. So the past is right now, okay? And that which is to be in the future had already been, had already passed. It's kind of like, I remember somebody told me this. It says, if you're living today, thinking of tomorrow, then today is already yesterday. So let me say that one more time. If you're living today, thinking of tomorrow, then today is already yesterday. So it's like repetitive, right? Now, why do I share that? Why do I read that to you? Check this out. I have this video here. And I recorded this because it's identical to what is going on right now. Like what's actually happening between USA and Iran, right? I'm gonna play it as a matter of fact, and then I'm gonna come back so you can see exactly what I'm talking about of the points that it's actually making. All right? Let's go.
In den frühen Morgenstunden des historischen 22. Juni, auf einer Frontbreite von 2400 Kilometern, vollzieht sich der größte Aufmarsch, den die Geschichte bisher gesehen hat.
Operation Barbarossa had actually failed even before it was launched, because with the possibilities open to Germany's political and military leaders in 1941, in the absence of a clear strategic objective, a war against the Soviet Union could never have been won.
It was the great conflict between two major ideologies of the time, fascism and communism. They clashed head-on with all the manpower and material the two sides could mobilize.
It was a war of conquest, a war of aggression in violation of international law, and a war of annihilation waged against the backdrop of National Socialist racial ideology.
People in the Soviet Union thought, the Nazi regime has begun a war of annihilation, so there is no question of me ever being ready to compromise, because that compromise will cost me my life.
Right from the start, it was an operation in which criminal behavior played a central role. The unusual, indeed specific characteristic of this operation is that law and morality were totally disregarded.
There wasn't really a plan, apart from, we're going to attack the Soviet Union and take Moscow, and ideally, by then we'll have won.
Soviet leader Joseph Stalin had sent his personal limousine to collect Hitler's foreign minister.
You know, I actually recorded a little bit extra after this, but I probably didn't have to. So let's start it again. Watch exactly how similar this shit is to today.
In den frühen Morgenstunden des historischen 22. Juni, auf einer Frontbreite von 2400 Kilometern, vollzieht sich der größte Aufmarsch, den die Geschichte bisher gesehen hat.
Operation Barbarossa had actually failed even before it was launched.
Okay, so, all right, so it's called Operation Barbarossa. And he says this is the Nazis who are expanding, okay? Expanding. Do you understand this? Invading, expanding, whatever they want to call it. All right? And he says, this shit failed before it started. Now, who's trying to expand right now? Who's acting like that? Okay, continue.
Because with the possibilities open to Germany's political and military leaders in 1941, in the absence of a clear strategic objective, a war against the Soviet Union could never have been won.
Because it was simply open to politicians and people in military power, and they really didn't have a good strategic reason to go in there and do what they were doing. But you know what? They did it anyways. Considering they knew it was probably going to fail. It's almost the same fucking thing.
Never have been won.
Check that. He's like, it would have never been won. Watch this.
Strategic objective, a war against the Soviet Union could never have been won.
It was the great conflict between two major ideologies of the time.
See, a conflict between two major ideologies, Islam and Christendom. Through Islam and Judaism, or Islam and Zionism. I mean, that's pretty much it. Islam versus Zionism? I mean, what other powers? Oh, white and brown? Fuck, I don't know. It's weird, right? Okay, but I got some more for you.
In dieser Zeit der Fascism and communism. They clash.
Fascism and communism. Now, fascism basically means capitalism that's in control of the government compared to the opposite. And that's what's actually now going on. Fascism is literally running the government because it's, look it up. Here, I'll help you, my friends. I help you. I'll read it. An authoritarian and nationalistic right-wing system of government and social organization. Here, I'll move it over here. Hold on. Let me see if I can move it over here real quick, just so you guys can see. No. I don't like that. I don't want that. Fascism is a far-right authoritarian and ultra-nationalist political ideology and movement that rose to prominence in the early 20th century. Europe. Fascism is characterized by support for a dictatorial leader. Listen to that. Fascism is characterized by support for a dictatorial leader. You have one today. I don't care how people look at it, man. The way that Trompetas is acting is not like your typical president. I don't know if you guys think that he is acting like a... No, he's not. He's not, dude. Like everything's based on him. Trump this, Trump... I mean, you guys not seeing it? Look, listen, I'm not political, bro. I'm not trying to like make you guys vote a certain way. He literally is walking that way. Watch this. Centralized autocracy. What is that? A form of government in which absolute power is held by one person, known as an autocrat. Executive control. The courts tell him, hey, don't do that. The executive branch, which they have control of, says, fuck you. So there should be 3 branches that are equal to stabilize its power. But in this case, it's no more. It's more autocracy. Because it's demanding its power to be at an executive level, or at least in this form of government, absolute power by one of the branches. More likely, it'll be burned. Now, when you look at scripture and you talk about branches, we'll get into it later, but this is pretty much what it's meaning. Militarism. It is a belief or the desire of a government or a people that a state should maintain a strong military capability, right? Remember the Department of War. That's what the name is. See that? Through military power. Forcible suppression of opposition. They went to Venezuela and did what they did. Belief in a natural social hierarchy. Natural social hierarchy. What is a natural social hierarchy? It says it refers to a society hierarchical categorization of its people into groups based on socioeconomic factors such as wealth, income, race, education, ethnicity, gender, occupation, yada, yada, yada. You get the point. Subordination of individual interests for the perceived interests of the nation or race. Perceived interest for the race. You can see this all over the Republican side. And strong regimentation of society and economy. Opposed to communism, democracy, liberalism, pluralism, yada, yada, yada. So this is what it means, technically. Now, there is a point where it says, hold on, elitism and government together is Let me see. See, in the early 1920s, fascism, an ideology that combines reverence for the state of nationalism, anti-communism, and skepticism of the parliamentary form of government. So, capitalism. I wish I would have a better link for you guys. Anyways, let's continue. All right.
Head on, with all the manpower and material the two sides could mobilize.
It was a war of conquest, a war of aggression in violation of international law, and a war of annihilation waged against the backdrop of National Socialist racial ideology.
All the manpower and material the two sides could mobilize.
It was a war of conquest, a war of aggression in violation of international law.
This that's going on over there is the same thing. War of aggression, of just complete ignorance of the international law. That's what really is going on.
And a war of annihilation waged against the backdrop of National Socialist racial ideology.
Annihilation. What is going on in Gaza over there? What are they doing with the people? We are very fortunate to not have to experience that right now. We're not experiencing that.
People in the Soviet Union thought the Nazi regime has begun a war of annihilation, so there is no question of me ever being ready to compromise, because that compromise will cost me my life.
That mentality, and this is what this regime is actually exposing themselves to be. Do you think anybody's going to be willing to do that? Oh, I trust you? Hell no. You think it's people are? If they have good leadership, their people are not going to believe that. If they have shitty leadership, yo, yeah, sure, come in like lambs. They're going to F you all over, bro. They're already planning it.
Right from the start, it was an operation in which criminal behavior played a central role. The unusual, indeed specific characteristic of this operation is that law and morality were totally disregarded.
There wasn't really a plan, apart from we're going to attack the Soviet Union and take Moscow, and ideally, by then we'll have won.
Same thing that happened in Iran or Iran. We're just going to kill the Ayatollah Khamenei, I believe. It's the last name. I guess that's his name. And they thought, hey, you know, as long as we get rid of him, we'll be fine. They'll have some insurrection. We'll change the regime. We'll change government, whatever, blah, 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 just the way it went into Venezuela. No, it didn't happen that way. Just like that, they're like, we fucked up. These are the Nazis saying the same shit, thinking the same way, acting the same, like actually manifesting their same actions.
The unusual, indeed specific characteristic of this operation is that law and morality were totally disregarded.
There wasn't really a plan, apart from we're going to attack the Soviet Union and take Moscow, and ideally, by then we'll have won. That was so detached from reality.
That's what's going on right now, bro. The shit that people are telling you is so detached from reality. Some people are actually saying, oh, well, you bring them truth, and they're like, well, you got to question that shit. Okay, what the fuck, dude? What do we believe then?
Too hastily to change the sign. Along the cold stretches of the road back, the retreating Superman left the marks of their bestiality.
War of extermination against the Soviet Union. Operation Total Extermination. That's war of extermination against you. I'm serious. I'm serious. Now, they're saying that they have it all under control. I don't know, man. You know, I still believe in the book, right? And It's not going to happen. Like, you have to understand scripture. They're not going to be like defeated. Oh my God, the Babylon's going to get their ass kicked. It doesn't work like that. Let's identify him first. Genesis 16 talks about Abraham having a child, okay? And Genesis 16:12 talks about how he will be. And he will be a wild man. His hands will be against every man, and every man against his hands, and every man's hands against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. If you read this chapter, you'll get an idea of who Ishmael is. They know they're Ishmael too. Like, I don't have to even say it. They know they're Ishmael. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 29 says something else as well. It talks about this. Behold, 28, behold an horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, and all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Now, it says here, combining these two, that they're going to be dealing with these wild ass people that are willing to like do jihad shit, right? They blow themselves up. That's not me being like, I don't know, racist or some shit, but like, who else has done that in history? Right? Who else has done that? Now, you put these people together, I think Ishmael is fully awake. I think Ishmael is fully awake. It's not going to be done. I think this is where the damage begins. You still have to understand what the scriptures talk about, that the other nations will turn on her. The ones that are in favor, that are on her side, they will turn on her. And eventually that's when Babylon falls. That's prophecy.
وأجرموا لكن الله أحاط بهم أرادوا تهشيم اليمن
So, I'm not saying that this is a, well, I'll say it like this. What perspective do you think they have towards, I guess, European North America. Think about it. What perspective? It's like you think that they watch what we watch? No, they don't. They watch what we typically don't watch. Here's one example. Okay?
We're going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East. Why couldn't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea?
How would you do that? Would you send in the Marines? Would you take a chance in a war?
Let them have Iran. You take their oil. That's what
How?
How?
I mean, do we want a war? What do you mean
go
we
in,
take their oil?
You go in. You're
How
gonna have
do
a
we
war,
go
Barbara.
in?
You're going to have a war by being weak.
Okay, how do we go in? What do we do?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You're going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East.
What if the Soviet Union said you do this to...
You're going to have a war. You're going to have a war. You're going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East.
What if the Soviet Union said you do this to Iran, we're going to come in?
I don't believe they'd do it. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations, and I mean grab it and keep it, and get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran.
Imagine that. So there's some podcasters that say that he stole the oil from Venezuela when he did the deal. And so I Googled it, right? Just decided to ask the question. Hey, how you doing, sis? Good to have you here. So I decided to ask the question, did Trump really steal the oil and keep part of the money? So AI said, no, Donald Trump did not steal the oil, right? That's what it says. But here's where it gets interesting. When you start reading exactly how this transaction went about, it says administration control. The Trump administration established a mechanism to sell seized Venezuelan oil and hold the proceeds in foreign government deposit funds, including an account in a Qatari bank. Do you understand what's going on? So they decided to, make a trade between oil and money, but they decided to put that money in an account, not in an American bank like shit soil, like, oh, America, they're so proud of it. No, they put the money in a Qatari bank. Okay? Second part. So remember, I asked the question. It's like, but did he really date? No, he did not. But this is what they did. Stated purpose. Officials stated the funds were to be used to benefit the people of Venezuela, and prevent the money from falling into the hands of the then Maduro regime or private creditors. Have they given you Venezuelans any kind of money? No personal use. There's no evidence for of course, there's no evidence, right? But it says, constitutional debate. The action drew scrutiny. Here's where it gets interesting and tight. The action drew scrutiny and condemnation from some members of Congress, primarily Democrats, who argued that the president did not have the constitutional authority to create a revenue stream and disperse funds without congressional approval, raising concerns about the potential slush funds, quote unquote. Then it says international law. Legal experts clarified that the international law and natural resources belongs to the sovereign state, Venezuela, and the U.S. did not have a legal basis for a blanket claim of ownership. The U.S. actions related more to enforcing sanctions, yada, 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 this and that, blah, blah, blah. But isn't it interesting how they have it in a Qatari bank? Now, on the phone, I went it's different. I guess this is not how they do it here. Because when I would scroll down, I would actually get away from this whole thing. Let me see this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that because then I don't want to take another avenue. So you get the concept, right? Okay. So now check this out.
Hello and welcome. I'm Shivani Singh. In geopolitics, theft is often in the eye of the beholder. Following the January 3rd capture of Nicolas Maduro, Donald Trump has made a bold claim. He says he is simply taking back what was stolen from America. On social media, the number being tossed around is $500 million. Critics call it a 19th century land grab, and the White House, it calls it restitution. But what are the facts? Did the US just steal $500 million in oil money, or is this a legal settlement of a 20-year-old debt? Today we break down the what, why, when, where and how of the Venezuelan oil seizure. Let's start with the what. On January 14, 2026, the Trump administration confirmed the first sale of Venezuelan oil since the ouster of Maduro.
So they took Maduro and they sold whatever oil they took. Do you understand that? This is your lovely North America. This is what you guys go to the voting booth for. This is the part you ignore because you want to be on top. Not that people want to suffer. Now that you found out exactly who was pushing you thought you were riding the bike on your own and shit, and you were balancing it yourself. And then one day you just woke up like Neo and shit in the Matrix. You got cables all over your face, all over your body. They've been controlling you, making you assume some thought process that was never true. You're whack. You cannot handle it. So they have to make you believe a story so that you can believe it. At the expense of other people.
The shipment was valued at exactly $500 million. But here is the distinction. The money didn't go into Donald Trump's pocket, nor did it go to the US Treasury as profit. It was placed into a foreign government deposit fund. This is a custodial account. The US says that it is holding the money for the people of Venezuela to be dispersed only when a proper government is in place. So why does Trump claim that the US has a right to this money? He points to 2007. Back then, Hugo Chavez had nationalized Venezuela's oil industry. He seized the rigs, the platforms, and the fields.
Yeah, that's right. So on my phone, that's the reason why it looked weird. On my phone, when I scroll down, it actually shows that the Trump regime team, whatever, they actually filed a lawsuit preventing from anybody else, any outside creditors that Venezuela owed money to have any access to that money. So they went out of their way to make sure that nobody touches that money. Even though Venezuela owed people to the Trump and Qatar and the bank and all them, and they said, nah, it's ours. All while all of you who go to the voting booth and shit, who is going to vote this midterm, you ignore all this because you're if you're like a hamster and shit, and you have like a hamster house and that shit's still going on and it's nice and clean and nobody's fucking with it, then it's okay. It's okay, you know? Like, fuck these Venezuelans. I'm mad at you motherfuckers over there in Venezuela, but if you really think about it, like nobody's saying shit. Okay, let me just shut up. Let's continue.
Belonging to US giants like ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips. But let's look at the legal fine print. International tribunals did rule that Venezuela owed these companies billions, $1.6 billion to Exxon and nearly $9 billion to ConocoPhillips. However, there is a massive...
Like that was one of the videos I was showing you. It says Trump stole $500 million in Venezuela oil. That's what I was actually saying. Like a lot of these podcasters say that. Sold it and put the money in a private account in Qatar. If you can't see how immensely corrupt this mob boss is, you have the IQ of a dead hamster. And I was just saying a hamster.
and nearly $9 billion to ConocoPhillips. However, there is a massive factual leap in the president's rhetoric. The oil in the ground always belonged to Venezuela. Under their constitution, hydrocarbon deposits are sovereign property. You can seize a rig, but you can't steal the oil that belongs to the land under it sits. By claiming the oil itself was stolen from America, the White House is stretching the truth to fit a fine.
This is where all of you stupid ass motherfuckers here in the Americas fucked up. Because if I would have been running that shit, I would have told you already. No, effing don't. No. Might as well start the fight now. What do you mean? Dude, you're opening the door. Are you kidding me? You think that we're going to come back? We all know the story. We all know the way it ends. We all know the way it begins. That's why Petro from Colombia didn't budge. They were trying to push him too. They were trying to figure out who they can push more. They found weaknesses in Venezuela. You guys do a lot of sellout of your own people, man. That shit is whack. It's sad, but you know, you need to. Okay, let's go. Let me just shut up. Let's go.
Keepers policy. So when did this happen? The sale was finalized just 11 days after Maduro was taken to New York to face charges. And where is the money now? This is the most controversial part. Reports indicate that the main account is located in Qatar. Why Qatar? Because it's considered a neutral financial zone by parking the $500 million there. The Trump administration can prevent international creditors, like people Venezuela owes a total of $170 billion, from suing to get their hands on the cash. On January 9th, Trump signed an executive order specifically prohibiting any judicial process against these funds.
See what I mean? Not only did they file with the court, he signed an executive order, like it even matters, but you know, to them it does. That no one can touch that money. Let me repeat that again, okay? This is not a dream. This is real shit.
From suing to get their hands on the cash.
And this is what you guys are going to vote for midterm. Oh, I'm going to get rid of Trump. I'm going to get rid of Trump. Where is that money? You get rid of him and then what? That money's gone. It's gone. Gone. And all of you did not care. Because if your household would have been affected, let's say to the extreme that you didn't get your check, that your company did not pay you, that you just couldn't pay the bill, that you had no money for food, I guarantee you then that's when it would fucking matter. As long as someone else is getting the hit, it don't bother me. Okay.
On January 9th, Trump signed an executive order specifically prohibiting any judicial process against these funds. He has essentially built a legal moat around the oil money so that only the US government can decide who gets paid. So how is the US justifying running the oil industry of another country? The administration's logic is simple: stabilization. Energy Secretary Chris Wright has indicated that the US will sell Venezuelan oil indefinitely. The revenue will reportedly be used for humanitarian aid, which is...
I used to play this game called Risk when I was younger and shit. And I really liked that game. Me personally, I really like strategic games. Strategic games, I fucking enjoy. Really love a lot. I could say, like, I don't want to say love because I reserve that shit for my family. But I really like strategic games. And I can see them playing Risk on what's going on right now. I think that's what they're doing. They probably got a little board and shit. Like, okay, we're going to do they're probably rolling dice and shit. Okay, let me move some of those. No, I'm telling you, the way that they're moving. They went to Venezuela, secured that shit, went over there, trying to fight that shit. If in case they can't secure that shit over there, they feel that they secured that shit over here, which is why they want to call it Operation, and not Wetbag. You didn't say shit with that one. This one's Operation Total Extermination. You may actually say something about that. All of a sudden, now it matters. Fuck all y'all, bro. You didn't give a shit when it's Operation Wetbag. You didn't give a shit when it was like Project 2025. Y'all didn't give a shit. You voted for the fucking orangutan. I don't even agree with that, but voting, period. But a lot of you, Raza, really thought he was going to make a difference for you. What the fuck were you thinking? Seriously. What was going through your mind? Did you not remember in 2016 when he was going down the slider and shit? And he says Mexicans bring rapists, murderers, and blah, blah, blah. And some are probably good people. So he said the majority of you Mexicans suck. And by the way, that includes all of you other nationalities and shit that you look like, that they confuse you with us because you still voted for him too. And now we're seeing this here. A complete fucking absolute lever aiming down where you're going to land on some shit. I mean, I knew these things were coming. I just didn't realize that it would be that fast. And the scriptures talk about how it speeds up time. It speeds up time. Some of us just don't, we say it, but sometimes part of us doesn't really want it to happen. Because we have kids. I got a family, man. Maybe that's what it is. Let's continue.
For buying food and medicine for Venezuelans, for infrastructure, like paying US companies to fix the broken refineries, and debt repayment, eventually settling those 2007 claims. So did Trump steal the money? Technically, the US is acting as a self-appointed trustee. It has seized the physical oil, sold it, and is now guarding the cash in an offshore account. Whether you call this restitution or appropriation depends on your view of international law. But one thing is
Even she left that shit for your own interpretation. Whether you believe that this is right or not, I mean, depends on your law. Whew. Wow. This is why I tell you here, this is the Spanish one, by the way. This is the Spanish version of my channel. Because I always want to connect dots. And I don't want to leave no rocks unturned. And I apologize if you guys don't speak Spanish. But this is an important part of the news outlets that need to be presented to you, at least.
La guerra contra...
Check it out. I want to here. Let me move this up here. I think this should be good. Okay. All right. This channel is called Ina. I'm not gonna say her last name, but they report on stuff that's going on all around the world. Right. So now check this out.
Contra Irán, que iba a durar solo 4 días, ya está por ingresar en su 4ª semana. Y Estados Unidos preanuncia que cuando pueda dar vuelta a esa página, si es que puede, su mirada y sus explosivos volverán a centrarse en Latinoamérica.
Maybe today I better slow it down because they do talk fast. They don't talk fast. They just, some of us that are not used to speaking Spanish often may say that they talk fast. So listen to what she's saying, okay?
Que iba a durar solo 4 días, ya está por ingresar en su 4ª semana. Y Estados Unidos preanuncia que cuando pueda dar vuelta a esa página, si es que puede, su mirada y sus explosivos volverán a centrarse en Latinoamérica.
Did you hear that? So basically, she's saying in a sarcastic way, reporting it. Yeah, when U.S. is done over there in Iran, they're going to come over here and start bombing the shit out of you guys. I mean, you know, if you speak Spanish, you would understand exactly the sarcasm. Let's go.
Y no se trata solo de Cuba o de Colombia, sino de todo el continente. El medio
Now, family, check this out. Here we see now. Here, let me go back. Because you didn't even hear what I said.
La guerra contra Irán, que iba a durar solo 4 días, ya está por ingresar en su 4ª semana. Y Estados Unidos preanuncia que cuando pueda dar vuelta a esa página, si es que puede, su mirada y sus explosivos volverán a centrarse en Latinoamérica. Y no se trata solo de Cuba o de Colombia, sino de todo el continente. El medio
Okay, so you hear that? So she's basically saying that, you know, once the Anglo-Saxons, you know, sons of Esau, are done messing around with Ishmael, they're going to come back and try to fuck around with the Shams over here. Okay? And she's like, hey, they're going to bring the bombs over here as well. So now pay attention to this.
de Intercept publicó una larga nota donde repasa el intervencionismo de la administración en el continente. En el texto aparecen resumidas las declaraciones realizadas por el subsecretario de Guerra Joseph Humar durante la semana pasada ante el Comité de Servicios Armados de la Cámara de Representantes.
La propia... Who is that brown dude over there that they're talking about? That brown dude over there, he's what they would call a fucking bandito. But you know what, man? Who cares? It don't matter. And I don't care. Joseph Umire is performing duties of the Assistant Secretary of War for Homeland Defense of the in America, Security Affairs, overseeing U.S. defense, yada, yada, yada. He's, I believe, of, I don't know, Peruvian descent? No, Venezuelan descent. I think that's the case with this guy. Let me see. Well, he definitely looks like a bison and shit. Like, it looks like one of us, but you know what that means. Not all kinfolk is skinfolk. Sad, man. It says here, Pentagon reveals attacks in Latin America are just the beginning. With Operation Total Extermination, the Trump's threats against Cuba expect more U.S. military strikes in the region. No, but they're saying they're going to expand that shit. Operation Total Extermination requires a little more dissecting of this confidential fucking material that not really confidential because they tell you in your face and shit, but a lot of you guys don't even care about it. Look what they're saying.
Ante el Comité de Servicios Armados de la Cámara de Representantes.
La propia biografía de Humar es una declaración de las prioridades de la administración hacia el continente. Se trata de un ex marín que participó en la guerra contra Irak y luego se especializó en amenazas hemisféricos contra terrorismo y narcotráfico. Además tiene un libro publicado sobre la penetración en América Latina por parte de Irán y en su bio anuncia que está trabajando en otra sobre China. La cosa promete.
¿Qué dijo Humar en el comité de la Cámara de Representantes? Bueno, que los ataques que supuestamente son contra los cárteles son solo el comienzo y confirmó.
So these attacks on the cartel, by the way, it happened in Ecuador, close to Colombia. It's just the beginning. I know that you think that what's happening over there is not going to happen here. I know that.
que Ecuador está siendo apoyado por Estados Unidos para realizar, cito, acciones cinéticas bilaterales contra objetivos de cárteles a lo largo de la frontera entre Colombia y Ecuador.
El esfuerzo conjunto denominado, atención al nombre, Operación Exterminio Total, dijo Humaer, marca el inicio de una ofensiva militar de Ecuador contra organizaciones criminales transnacionales con el apoyo de Estados Unidos. Humaer también dijo que Estados Unidos y Ecuador estaban realizando ataques terrestres conjuntos y agregó que la colaboración le permite a Ecuador tener capacidades que de otro modo no tendría. Consultado por el representante Adam Smith, demócrata por Washington, Humaer confirmó que los ataques continuarán intensificándose. Además, dijo que el perímetro de seguridad inmediato de Estados Unidos va desde Alaska hasta Groenlandia en el Ártico, pasando por el Golfo de América, el Canal de Panamá y los países circundantes. Ante todo, modestia. Al Canal de Panamá lo calificó.
He says it's not going to just start, it's not just going to be in an isolated section. It's going to be all over the place. All over the place. So it's going to be a crazy ride. Remember, I'll give you this example. Revelation 17 talks about the great prostitute, okay? And from verse 1 through 5, it mentions who this great whore is. Now, this great whore, this destructive Babylonian concept of a government will be destroyed, but not by, Ishmael or Mexicans. No. It's going to be destroyed by its own self. The structure that it came from. Verse 16 says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So that's who they are. It takes them to destroy them.
Como un activo nacional. Nacional de Panamá, se preguntarán. No se confundan. Nacional de Estados Unidos.
Los ataques contra embarcaciones quedaron tapados por la guerra contra Irán, pero se siguen produciendo. Además de los realizados en el Caribe, el radio de acción se amplió también al Océano Pacífico. El último ataque ocurrió hace una semana, el 19 de marzo, cuando fue hundida una lancha dejando 2 muertos y un sobreviviente. En total,
pasada semana debió comparecer en una comisión de la Cámara de Senadores e hizo declaraciones en el mismo sentido. Vamos a escucharlo.
What we're building is actual campaign against these cartels that will actually look at really more systemically across the board from point of production to point of delivery up in the plazas, and look at it more holistically. And really, what
he said up in the plazas, he's talking about Mexico. You see all these Anglos? He's like, oh, we're just gonna go in there and just gonna fucking blow up and attack the fucking plazas. You know what I mean? Like, just gonna go there and just blow up the houses and the corners and shit. You guys aren't seeing this. You're too busy distracted. Some of y'all too busy hating this. Some of y'all too busy hating this channel and shit.
Planning on applying is total systemic friction on these networks, and I believe these kinetic strikes are just one small part of that.
Esta operación contra las lanchas es solo una pequeña parte. Si esto es solo una pequeña parte, me pregunto cuáles son las grandes partes que nos faltan ver. The Intercept señala que la Fiscalía General de Estados Unidos tiene redactada una acusación formal contra la presidenta de Venezuela, Delcy Rodríguez, amenazándola con cargos de corrupción y lavado de dinero si no acata las órdenes del gobierno de Trump. Luego de las acusaciones contra Nicolás Maduro y la actual
over there, like, they're not even telling you guys that that's happening over there right now. No, they're too busy showing you ABC, NBC, Fox, and all that shit. Fights and fucking soccer and football and
contra Gustavo Petro, todas sin pruebas. La versión de que también sería acusada Delcy Rodríguez nos habla de que se está configurando un nuevo modus operandi por parte de Estados Unidos para justificar sus intervenciones. La justicia de Estados Unidos realiza acusaciones a la carta, encargadas por la administración en función de sus prioridades geopolíticas. Sin presentar pruebas, esas acusaciones se convierten en el motivo esgrimido para la intervención. En esta matriz, la justicia local de Estados Unidos pasa a ser una justicia global y se atribuye la potestad de juzgarnos a todos más allá de las fronteras nacionales.
Además, Donald Trump también insinuó la posibilidad de convertir a Venezuela en el estado número 51 de Estados Unidos.
I know that you guys were probably not expecting that. Yeah, he said that shit. Look, watch, watch.
La posibilidad de convertir a Venezuela en el estado número 51.
So Venezuela is going to be the 51st state now all of a sudden. You guys used to hate Venezuelans, white cracker barrels.
Y se atribuye la potestad de juzgarnos a todos más allá de las fronteras nacionales.
Además, Donald Trump también insinuó la posibilidad de convertir a Venezuela en el estado número 51 de Estados Unidos, pero no se trata solo de Venezuela. Dijo, tengo a Cuba bajo mi control. La semana pasada apenitas. Y agregó, primero nos ocuparemos de Irán antes de Cuba. Bueno, a ver cómo va eso.
Venezuela.
See? You see? You see what I mean?
A ver, que alguien me explique. Who are you?
I sometimes think about bringing up a lot of scriptures out. And then I notice that some of you guys don't like that shit. I don't know what's going on. So I try to bring out some good news, at least some news to direct you as to what's happening so you can prep your kids. Now, maybe some of you guys are confused, like, well, how do you prep your kid, bro? Like, with all this situation. Okay, do you want to know how you prep your kid? You absorb this information. And then you go out there. I'll give it one just simple example. I know it sounds silly and shit, but I'm growing some herbs outside. I'm doing some compost. That's some side stuff, obviously, right? Because all this stuff here, all this information, you have to make sure that as you process it, how are you going to share it for other people to know? And then when the time comes, how are you going to be prepared for it? It's almost like the calm before the storm. You have to prepare your family for that too. And it's not about hectic shit. It's not about crazy, it's, man, this is needful, man, because we're coming close to that stuff. I don't really know why these people are losing their minds, to be honest with you.
51, Cuba 52, Canadá 53 y Groenlandia 54. No sé si Estados Unidos volverá a ser grande, pero al menos va a ser extenso. Respecto a Cuba, los medios de comunicación que siguen los lineamientos oficiales de la administración se han esforzado durante los últimos días en instalar la versión de que Estados Unidos está negociando con Raúl Guillermo Rodríguez Castro, nieto de Raúl Castro. El presidente de Cuba, Miguel Díaz-Canel, respondió que el intento de apoderarse del país enfrentará a una resistencia inexpugnable. Más allá de un intento de invasión, conviene
be happy. It's not going to be easy. Russia is actually landing a ship close to Cuba to feed them. Seriously.
Recordar que desde 1959 hasta la actualidad, Estados Unidos ha elaborado planes de los más variados en el marco de su guerra híbrida contra la isla, desde intentos de asesinatos de Fidel Castro hasta el incendio de las plantaciones de azúcar para dejar al país sin el ingreso por sus exportaciones. En un memorándum del año 1962, el Estado Mayor Conjunto describía operaciones de falsa bandera que podrían realizarse para justificar una invasión. En ese documento se habla de cito literal, hundir un barco con refugiados cubanos, reales o simulados. Otra variante era explotar un barco de bandera estadounidense en aguas cubanas. El modus
Check it out. So it's like, what are they telling you? What are they telling you? Exactly what are you listening to?
In Cuba, bringing in much needed crude. A Russian oil tanker has arrived in Cuba, bringing in much needed crude. Millions of Cubans have been struggling with blackouts after the United States cut off oil exports to Cuba when they ousted Nicolas Maduro. Health officials in Havana say hospitals are particularly affected.
Are they telling you guys that? Are you Cracker Barrels fed well? Are they telling you this at all? No, they're not.
Affected by the power cuts there. But over the weekend, Donald Trump indicated he had no problem with the country receiving supplies, including from Russia. Well, with me is Philip Tell to talk a bit.
I mean, so what are you watching? Who's telling you what? Pay attention to news, man.
Operandi es el mismo utilizado contra los presidentes. Lo que no existe se inventa.
Una fuente en off citada por The Intercept señaló que la estrategia de la administración es alentar las tensiones entre los países latinoamericanos para realizar una campaña coordinada destinada a fomentar la discordia y el conflicto en la región. Exactamente lo que está haciendo Ecuador respecto a Colombia.
They're fomenting some bullshit. Ecuador is starting some bullshit with Colombia. Do you understand that? It's that region, it's all together. This is, man, be mindful, family. Look, I'm going to say this to you. Look, I'm going to show you real quick. Oh, hold on. My bad. Remember I told you about Operation Wetbag and shit? You know, they want to get rid of you. Well, this is the same thing. Operation Total Extermination is a joint U.S. Ecuadorian military campaign targeting alleged drug cartels in Latin America involving bombings, arrests, reported civilian harm. It's just an excuse. You want them at your doorstep because some fucking dude wants to get high? How come they didn't do that here? Matter of fact, they're not even doing the drugs over there. The people doing the drugs are here. What the fuck is that about? So you want to have a problem with Latin America, so to speak, but you're afraid of Russia. By the way, she's Russian. In case you guys don't know this.
Esa parece ser la función del Escudo de las Américas y su iniciativa denominada Coalición Americana contra los Cárteles. Estados Unidos no necesita el apoyo militar de los países latinoamericanos. La utilidad del Escudo de las Américas es utilizar a los países gobernados por la ultraderecha y por otros aliados del Departamento de Estado para generar enfrentamientos y excusas que permitan atacar a los países que no están alineados con esa estrategia.
El subsecretario de Guerra Joseph Humer fue consultado en su paso por la Cámara de Representantes acerca del respeto a la soberanía de los países que integran este escudo. Los miembros de coalición, dijo, firmaron específicamente una declaración conjunta de seguridad en la que mencionan que desean este apoyo y la mayoría de ellos lo buscan. Uno de los resultados de este conjunto de iniciativas es que el FBI estableció una oficina permanente en Ecuador que se suma a la presencia que mantiene la DEA y el Departamento de Seguridad.
And it's funny how they send that fucking piece of shit bastard over there like, hey, it's okay, man. I'm family. I'm family that's gonna blow them up. I'm just family that's gonna blow them up. Nah, dude, it's not like that. Hold on a second. Let me get this real quick. Let me get this video.
Does Israel want...
Okay, let's listen to this real quick. Hold on.
us out of the Middle East?
Eventually.
Why?
They want to be a superpower all on their own. Netanyahu came out 4 weeks ago, and said, we want to wean ourselves away from American support.
I saw that too.
2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, again, within the last 6 weeks, he was doing a speech. It's in Hebrew, but it is translated, where he said, we will be the superpower in the Middle East.
Michael T. Lester questions whether Israel's real goal is regional dominance and superpower status.
Why is Israel so keen on taking Iran out?
So Israel does want greater Israel, right? They want to be, well, Netanyahu came out recently, last 2 weeks. He said, we are going to be a superpower in the Middle East and a superpower in the world. Israel wants to be a superpower. Well, to be a superpower, you have to be more powerful than anybody else.
Interesting, huh?
Stop carelessly.
Here's where it gets interesting, right, between you guys.
Labeling people anti-Semites. Catholic Christianity does not in any way require you to embrace Zionism as a fulfilled prophecy. So what I've heard today is that if you don't support Zionism, you are an anti-Semite. I'm a Catholic, and Catholics do not embrace Zionism, just so you know. So are all Catholics anti-Semites, according to you?
As I said, anti-Zionism.
So just to be clear, are Catholics anti-Semites?
I'm going to interrupt the discussion. Our committee is focused on religious liberty taken from all people.
Right, but we're talking about a foreign nation, so I want to be clear on what the definition of anti-Semitism is. If I don't support the political state of Israel, am I an anti-Semite? Yes or no?
They already answered. Asked and answered.
According to you, on the record, yes?
According to you, Cracker Barrel, you are an anti-Semite. Here, I'm going to show you how you're an anti-Semite. Okay? I'm going to show you how you're an anti-Semite. Because the same thing that they've done over there, you've done here. And we are Semitic people. You can't say that we're Hamitic or Japhetic. You can't call us Hamitic. Because I know who you already called Hamitic. We're Japhetic. And let me play this one more time, okay? Pay attention. All of a sudden now, all these Christians are trying to point the finger at these other people. Nah, you're the same fucking bread. You're just sliced different.
Stop carelessly labeling people anti-Semites. Catholic Christianity does not in any way require you to embrace Zionism as a fulfilled prophecy. So what I've heard today is that if you don't support Zionism, you are an anti-Semite. I'm a Catholic, and Catholics do not embrace Zionism, just so you know. So are all Catholics anti-Semites, according to you?
As I said, anti-Zionism.
So just to be clear, are Catholics anti-Semites?
I'm going to interrupt the discussion. Our committee is focused on religious liberty taken from all people.
Right, but we're talking about a foreign nation, so I want to be clear on what the definition of anti-Semitism is. If I don't support the political state of Israel, am I an anti-Semite? Yes or no?
They already answered. Asked and answered.
According to you, on the record, yes? I don't agree with that, because as a Catholic, I don't agree that the new modern state of Israel has any biblical prophecy meaning at all. So,
She said that they don't have no biblical prophecy to own that land, right? Okay. So how come Christmas Christians have the biblical prophecy to own this land over here? Because you sound just like this.
Stolen land, you drink stolen water, you eat stolen fruit. I find you fascinating, Mr. Dayan. I really do. I can't understand how you have such self-assurance. A man who was born in Argentina, whose family comes from the Ukraine, and is actually wanting people, sensible people, to believe that he has some connection with my country. You and your fellow settlers, nothing other than common thieves who live on stone.
Common thieves. How can it not be any different? You're over here pointing the finger at them. You're no different, Cracker Barrel. You're the same Cracker Barrels that were crackered. People left already because they got mad at me. I don't care a fuck. Get mad.
Israeli police have prevented Jerusalem.
It doesn't matter. Look, listen. They're spitting in your face too.
Jerusalem's Latin patriarch from celebrating Palm Sunday Mass. The police stopped Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa, an archbishop with Catholic jurisdiction across Israel and the Palestinian territories, from entering the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in occupied East Jerusalem in order to conduct the Mass there. He then held Mass at another location in Jerusalem. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said that the incident was an offense not only to the faithful, but to any community that respects religious freedom.
Well, we know from the Latin Patriarchate that this attendance was coordinated with Israeli occupation authorities. It was done to ensure that the Palm Sunday Mass would be conducted by a very
Ain't shit. How come you Republicans are not arguing about this? Because it doesn't matter. You see, it doesn't matter. It don't pertain to your home. As long as it's not here, whatever. Whatever. Look, they even tell you themselves.
Approved a new settlement called Shtema, where they will destroy 11,000 predominantly Christian homes to make way for settlers. This would effectively be the end of the Christian community in Bethlehem and in the Shepherd's Field. And this is it would be really tragic to see the oldest Christian community in the world erased before our very eyes. Israel is approved a new settlement called Shtema, where they will destroy 11,000 predominantly Christian homes to make way for settlers. This would effectively be the end of the Christian community in Bethlehem and in the Shepherd's Field.
Very limited number of priests, including the Patriarchate, that Mass would be broadcast to hundreds of millions of people in Palestine and around the world who look to Jerusalem during this holy season of Easter. Now, the Patriarch was stopped on the way. He was forced to turn back, and according to the statement issued by his office, this is the first time in centuries that the Mass of Palm Sunday was not conducted in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. This is something that not only violates the status quo, the historical status quo in Jerusalem, but it also means a lot to people. Easter in Palestine is part of the larger culture of Palestine for Christians and for Muslims. This is a week around which a lot of activities are held in Palestine traditionally, especially in Jerusalem. All festivities have been suspended because of the war, because of the restrictions imposed on public gatherings by Israel. But it was believed that at the very least that sermon would be allowed to proceed in line with the historical custom. That now has been suspended, and a very forceful statement, unusually forceful, was issued by the Latin Patriarchate protesting these measures by Israeli authorities. Of course, the police, we have to point out, is the responsibility of the very right-wing minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir. He's responsible for that, and he is not known for his tolerant views of Christians or Muslims, for that matter.
Noor, thank you. Noor Ode, live for us in Ramallah on the occupation.
Let me play this real quick. We're almost done, fam. Thank you for hanging out. I really appreciate you. I really do. Because you're sharing your thoughts with me, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to implement my ideology upon y'all, man. I'm just letting you know what I see, and hopefully it could help you see what I see, so then you can prepare yourselves mentally too, and at the same time your family. Nobody wants to get surprised. Check this out.
Why?
There's 13 tribes of Israel. So what I wanted to do was execute and crucify 13 priests and put one of the tribes of Israel in each of their right ears, which I did with this priest. I put the tribe of Benjamin.
So when did this plan come to fruition? You're thinking about this, you want to carry out this hit list?
Yes.
A hit list?
Sure.
14 pastors.
That's right. Around the nation, to surround the nation.
How do you justify that? I mean, if you're killing somebody or multiple people attempted,
okay, but
how does that work?
It's a commandment to rid Israel of evil. I've done this, I've been in and out of prison, so I know I run the police probably 100 times in my life.
How is this white guy from the Middle East? That's the first question. How the fuck are you from the Middle East? I can't even imagine you being there, bro. You look like a straight ass wood. They call it in jail and shit. So you're trying to claim one of them. It seems like it. But all of a sudden now you're like from the Middle East. Okay.
So you have zero remorse for this killing.
Not only do I have zero remorse, I plan on fulfilling what I started. Do I think I'm a monster? No. No. I see myself as more of like a saint. There's a commandment that if somebody is preaching that somebody other than God is God, we are to execute them and rid evil of Israel. So I'm obeying that commandment. I put him in the cross position on the wall, and I screwed him to the wall. And then I had a crown of thorns I put on his head. So he's crucified against the wall with the image of Jesus.
Did you kill Pastor Bill Shannon?
You know who you guys are? You guys are these people right here. And it's never changed for me, at least. I trick everybody else. I kind of have really quick ways to express and show who you are. Isn't that true? I mean, look, they let you know all the time. And I think all of us are sick of it. Should get deleted like motherfuckers, rapist bastards and shit, taking people's children. But you know what? It's not over yet.
All right. Well,
I'm gonna leave you with this. I'm gonna leave you with this video because you know what? I think it's time for you guys to understand that your gas prices are just the beginning. Seriously, man. Your gas prices are just the beginning. Those vatos are sea walking. That is a good way to look at it, Chris. Thank you very much. What up, bro? Good to have you here, man. Hold on. They be sea walking. Nah, but for real. Okay. I'll say it like this. I'm preparing for everything. And I'm enjoying my family every minute of every day. Let's go.
Welcome to the show, y'all. Hope everybody out there is having a good day. But in just a second, I'm going to give you the official expert breakdown and diagnosis of where we're at in this war. And spoiler alert, it's not good. In fact, I believe the exact phrase that you're going to hear is, "We're the Titanic." We are the Titanic. Okay, so we'll talk about that. I also have some new information. Trump is completely and utterly destroying the economy. It's getting worse and worse by the day. Later on, Israeli soldiers viciously assault a CNN reporter and accidentally tell the truth about what they're doing. And then later on today, we have Pete Kegsbreath, the Secretary of War Crimes, admits that Trump is trying to expand the U.S.'s footprint with imperialist wars of aggression. Quite an admission, if you ask me. quite an admission. So we'll talk about that and more later on. Also, Dave Rubin, we're
that little bit of that video earlier.
Political commentator, perhaps of all time. He's got a doozy for us and much more. So you guys know the deal, man. Everybody do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. You can also support the show on Patreon and sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That, of course, goes a long way because, remember, we are real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser, never done an ad read. I'm very proud of that fact, and you guys support the show from the ground up. So thank you to everybody who does support the show. And, of course, go sub to Corin's World, the YouTube channel, because we do live Kyle and Corin episodes every month we're doing. And I don't really have the words to put this into context for you, but take a look at this. Israel's Knesset, their parliament, has passed a law to execute Palestinian detainees.
Well, pay attention to this. This shit is fucking nuts. Okay? So now they can execute detainees. Literally. Pay attention.
Death by hanging, mandatory sentencing, no pardon, 90 days to carry out. It applies through military courts with a 96% conviction rate. It does not apply to Israelis. The bill was devised by...
Not apply to Israelis. Remember I showed you many videos. Remember I showed you guys many videos, many fucking videos. And I said to you that the way that they are treating them over there, they're gonna fucking try to do that here to you. Why? Because they look at you the same fucking way. Exactly the same way.
Que es un criminal sionista, lo digo abiertamente, él apoyó a Trump y es íntimo de Netanyahu. Entonces, cuando llegó Netanyahu a Dallas, Texas, que había un grupo de judíos o israelíes, no sé cómo se diga ya eso, le decían, oye, ¿por qué persigues tanto a los palestinos? Y les dice, los palestinos son para nosotros los israelíes lo que los mexicanos son para ustedes en Estados Unidos. Entonces yo veo la palestinización de los mexicanos en Estados Unidos.
Con todos los componentes.
¿Cómo?
Con todos los componentes, porque primero Estados Unidos le roba el territorio a México, después le termina de construir un muro, después los ataques xenófobos y racistas por un componente étnico y religioso también. ¿Qué falta?
Let's go.
Itamar Ben-Gvir, who wore noose-shaped lapel pins in the run-up to the vote. Ben-Gvir was convicted in 2007 of racist incitement against Arabs and support for the Cake Group, a designated terrorist organization by both Israel and the United States. He wrote the law. More than 100 Palestinian detainees have already died in Israeli custody since October 2023, and dozens are still disappeared. Over 9,300 Palestinians sit in Israeli detention right now, including 350 children. Hundreds could face execution under this law. Israel abolished the death penalty for ordinary crimes in 1954. Today they voted to bring it back exclusively for Palestinians. So, understand something very simply. These are not prisoners. These are hostages. No charges. Of course, they get sent through a different system.
See this video real quick, fam.
Methods of policing that are being used on Palestinians to enforce occupation coming back to us.
U.S. police are training in Israel, and that's something every American should be concerned about.
Gaza is a weapons testing facility for technology that will be eventually used against us all.
I think we're going to see those deportation numbers ramp up as we get more and more people online, working for ICE, going door to door.
I have been to Israel where ICE agents and DEA agents and other three-letter agencies raid with the Israelis, and they bring those tactics back here. Reckon that we export, we bring it right back here.
U.S. law enforcement, including police department and immigration officials, have been trained by Israeli agents.
I'm not even a U.S. citizen. I'm not even a U.S. citizen.
For her seat in Illinois is preaching here because
it's becoming increasingly clear that law enforcement.
I was checking a video. Okay, let's go.
System. They don't have rights under Israeli law. And now they're looking at turning their prison camps into out-and-out death camps. That's what this is. So this is like the Nazification of Israel is finally complete. They've now gone full Nazi. They did a genocide in Gaza, and everybody saw it. and then now they're executing nearly 10,000 Palestinian hostages that they have. So Hamas had to free their hostages, whereas Israel is executing their hostages. This is exactly what was being referred to. Israel approves execution law for Palestinian prisoners. The vote was 62 to 47, and you can
understand what that fucking means. You guys understand what that is, that noose? Like, that noose is, it didn't just apply to Morenos, the black folks, so-called African Americans. It didn't just apply to them. It applied to us too. They did that shit to us as well. These people never suffered like that here, like we did. Best believe that they never went through what we went through here in our lands. And they carry that shit. And we carry that shit, not for fucking valor, but for death.
see here's Ben-Gvir and some of his goons, and they're wearing noose.
Should be disgusting to you. But you motherfuckers are so scared to call these people out. Why? Because of your money? Is your money that well? Are you really thriving from fucking reginate? I mean, I don't know, bro. Whatever, dude.
Lapel pins. Because, you know you're the good guys when you're wearing noose lapel pins. Here's a video of Itamar Ben-Gvir celebrating after this law was passed.
They can't pronounce the R. That's why they're like, that was supposed to be like we can do that, right? They can, that's like a moco and shit. But you guys are celebrating that. Like, you guys think it's okay. Because, you go to church and Jesus tells you, like, oh, they're the chosen. That's sad, man.
היסטוריה. בעזרת השם בקרוב, אחד להוציא להורג. כל אלה שתקפו ורצחו ושרפו לחיים עם ישראל.
They are absolutely ecstatic, and they are partying at the fact that they're now going to mass murder about 10,000 Palestinians. So this is in the times of Israel. Israel's an apartheid state. The law effectively enshrines capital punishment for Palestinians alone, as it explicitly excludes Israeli citizens or residents, and Palestinians alone are tried in military courts. Israelis are tried in civilian courts. So
you guys, that's what they're celebrating. Oh my God. But no, hey, whatever. I guess.
Don't ever let anybody ever again tell you that this is not an apartheid system, that this is not an ethno-state. It is the textbook definition of those things. Plus 972 magazine says, since October 7th, Israeli settlers have worked in tandem with the army to expel at least 76 entire Palestinian communities, while simultaneously establishing over 150 new Israeli outposts. At least 22 of those were established in Area B. So, this is what we call mission creep. There's been a bunch of pogroms that have happened, slowly but surely, over the course of the past few years. Now, Israel is trying to totally take over the West Bank. In the same way, they're stealing.
I'm the world. Could you let that happen? Or, okay, let me say it better. How would you feel if that was happening to you right now? Your wife is not in the kitchen. Your kids are not in their bedrooms. You are not in your space where you want to be. Like, shit just moved stuff around your home. Like, you don't even have one. A lot of us forget about that part. A lot of us forget about that part.
How bad is this war going? Well, this is crazy. So let's first start with this one. The U.S. has burned through 850 Tomahawks in 4 weeks. That's roughly a quarter of the inventory. At about 600 produced a year, that's 1.5 years worth of production gone in 1 month. Hard to see what long-term political goal this buys. So that was some, stuff from the Washington Post here. That was all sourced to the Washington Post. Ready? So Heidi Moore says, I find myself...
I'm going to fast forward it because I want you to hear this part. It should matter to you, at least from this point moving forward. After this, we should be done, okay? Let's go.
Are absolutely clocking us, if we're being honest. So here we have John Mearsheimer, and he gives his take about just how poorly this thing is going. Here we go.
This is much worse than Afghanistan, much worse than Iraq. He's entered a war that he can't win, and one could argue is likely to have catastrophic consequences. The Iranians hold almost all the cards. I think it's very hard for most Americans to understand this, especially people who watch Fox News and are loyal supporters of the president. Iran can wreck the international economy. We are in terrible shape. We are the Titanic. And I think President Trump basically understands that. And I think his advisors understand that. And they're trying to turn the ship so that we don't hit the iceberg.
And they're just lying repeatedly and relentlessly about what's going on here. The reason sending ground troops won't help, besides, again, the lack of bases and the unfamiliarity with the terrain, is that there's no clear objective. What do you need to take? What constitutes a victory? Investing more money and people is not going to help if there's no goal to achieve. Wars are not fought for bragging rights and vibes. There have to be...
Shadows like him likes to read all that stuff, right? But let me bring you back to what he's saying once more. Let's think about that for a moment, okay? Watch what he says. It's about 20 seconds.
And he gives his take about just how poorly this thing is going. Here we go.
This is much worse than Afghanistan, much worse than Iraq. He's entered a war that he can't win, and one could argue is likely to have catastrophic consequences. The Iranians hold almost all the cards. I think it's very hard for most Americans to understand this, especially people who watch Fox News and are loyal supporters of the president. Iran can wreck the international economy. We are in terrible shape. We are the Titanic. And I think President Trump basically understands that. And I think his advisors understand that. And they're trying to turn the ship so that we don't hit the iceberg.
And they're just lying repeatedly. And
he said, this economy, the economy, where you live, how you live, everything you live by, everything you stand for, at least everything you watch, your computer, your TV, your radio, your cell phone, you know, your card, your insurance, everything is based on that. He says shit could be over. All because of that war.
Relentlessly about what's going on here. The reason sending ground troops won't help, besides, again, the lack of bases and the unfamiliarity with the terrain, is that there's no clear objective. What do you need to take? What constitutes a victory? Investing more money and people is not going to help if there's no goal to achieve. Wars are not fought for bragging rights and vibes. There have to be tangible benchmarks of success. So if the benchmark is we have to do a regime change, well, I got bad news for you.
It gets worse. You know, he explains it in a certain way for, you know, because he's political in that sense. But here's where it gets real deep.
And this would be stage 3. This is the threshold of stage 3.
Right, sorry, let me go back.
They're not.
He starts with saying this is like beyond stage 3. Okay, these motherfuckers have really put the pedal to the metal in a place where they shouldn't be going. It's like you're driving a car and you're just going too fast. It's like you shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? You have a lot of people behind you. You have a lot of people in the car. You have a lot of souls that you need to care for. They don't give a fuck about that. I'm telling you, fam. Please be ready. Okay, matter of fact, I'm gonna share something with you guys after this.
Wait, all right, more. Here's Robert Pape, an expert on this stuff as well, and here's what he has to say.
Military shoe to fall, which is stage 3, is the ground operations. Those Marines are moving. The 82nd Airborne is preparing, and this would be stage 3. This is the threshold of stage 3. They're not there yet. It'll be another 10 days, 14 days before these beginning forces are in place. So in that period of time, we're going to see a lot of back and forth. I'm hoping we'll find a way out so we don't cross stage 3. But if we cross stage 3, politics will change again. This isn't just about military action. When those Marines hit the beaches, many will die. When they die, many who are Trump supporters will double down their support.
Oh my God. So stop and think about that, y'all. The more this thing becomes apparent that it's an absolute catastrophe, it's a disaster, it's failing miserably, the more the hardcore Trump supporters will double down and feel more vindicated. Now, then it will become, we have to finish the job. the worse it gets, the more obstinate they get, is his point. Let's keep going.
They don't want to leave. They don't want to say these people died for us, and now we're going to abandon them.
So you think we're just a couple of weeks away from stage 3 then?
I think we're a couple of weeks away from the beginning of stage 3, which I always said. Again, I published all 3 stages before the first bomb fell. I always said stage 3 would be, quote, limited territorial control. It would involve the Marines, maybe some airborne. What would happen is there would be coastal areas. Maybe we're going to go into some of the nuclear sites. I laid all this out the days before the bombing. And that is now what we are seeing, quote, preparing for. The problem here is these preparations may well become realities because it's going to be very difficult to walk away and leave Iran in control of that much power.
All right, but I still have more for you. So here we have Pape talking about how Trump is faced with a choice. He can either break up with Israel and put them in their place, or we effectively go to World War III and ruin everything with Iran.
I lay this out in President Trump is on the horns of a dilemma. He can cut bait now, cut a deal now, pay that high price, break Israel's elbows, threaten to cut off all their aid, do what I'm just describing here, super high price, but possibly his presidency will be recoverable. Or he can go to the other side, the military, the battlefield side, and then go across stage 3 and start to use military force to physically open the Strait of Hormuz, physically, with military force. There, I believe, and this is my assessment, that the political costs will mount over those months. That 3 to 6 month attrition war will become even worse. And I believe at that point, President Trump will effectively, not physically, but effectively lose his presidency. That his presidency will become unrecoverable.
He'll also, and this is what I fear, use nukes. He'll use nukes. He's ordering.
I don't know if he, I hope not, but this is who he is. This is who he is. And after this, I'm going to call it a night. But this is who he is. I don't know. He is a very unpredictable person. But this is who he is.
Going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East. Why couldn't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea?
How would you do that? Would you send in the Marines? Would you take a chance in a war?
Let them have Iran. You take their oil. That's what
How?
How?
I mean, do we want a war? What do we mean we
in,
take their oil?
You go in. You're
how
gonna have
do
a
we
war,
go
Barbara.
in?
You're going to have a war by being weak.
Okay, how do we go in? What do we do?
Excuse me.
Yeah?
You're going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East.
What if the Soviet Union said, you do this to Iran, we're going to come in?
I don't believe they'd do it. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations, and I mean grab it and keep it, and get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran.
Que toques el cielo, pero no el suelo, sí que créetelo. Quítate el velo velozmente, bro. Vívete tu sueño, pero despierta a la hora que toca. Esa hora, motherfucker, wake up. Yo me meo en tu cubata antes. Bebo, matar ratas son tan. Vaya al bosque a lo Tarzán mientras enlazan. Fraternidad en casa con su polo, colisteras trenas. Te han dejado en el desván de su pensar un mar de ideas. Son grandes ideas ardiendo en chimeneas antiguas. Ríe Dios al ver que te santiguas. Su mente y su luz son ambiguas como mi voz. Lo que para ti es un don, para mí una misión fija. Mis versos son de ninja. Tu poesía pa' pijas que no se fijan. Que hay más allá del cristal. La matriz hipnotiza. Mi energía usa de trizas. Yo en mi nave nutriza. Comiendo pizza con piña, moldeo toroides, vórtices. Con mi mente arbores, gente junto con Isis y Milos. Para creer Pegasus se nace, pero cánticos lemurianos me hacen sentir como en mi hogar. La noche se avecina y se afilan colmillos de vampiras psíquicas. Frecuencias del malestar las alimentan. Nuestro deber es tenerlas raquíticas. Bazooka espacial enlatada con la función del sol central, causando desinformaciones bíblicas. antipersonas como las minas y minos. La moral del que venga a negar lo que digo con la mira por tanto ombligo. Si me retiro del partido que sea como Figo, conocidos en me la pela en verdad. Si en mi barrio me conocen más que tú a tu enamorada. No hay payasos, solo en anémonas de gárgola. Andrómeda eres. Conserva tu celular, primigenias o no podrás volar. El virus se llevó a unos cuantos, pero el ego a más. Se elevó el más a la opulencia. Digo, bien, debajo el Satanás en el espejo. Jesucristo, la conciencia del flash. La tierra y su paz están vibrando. Los sentimientos son la trampa que están manejando. Los hilos de los cuales tú y tu ego estáis medio colgando. No es que yo sea un superdotado, ni tú un tonto. Solo lo que tú sabes de mierda yo sobre el cosmos. Que lo estudio y profundamente sano me lo tomo. Si no ya hubiera ido a visitar al doctor, porque no soy devoto, mucho menos un santo. Yo jamás voto, pero dale que asalto. Cuando en verdad sé que tendría que sudarme todo la polla, pero pienso que hay que vivir por algo. Que en el letargo cure lo enfermo, sabor amargo, remedio eterno. Me pregunto a toda esa gente que le he hecho y canalizo desde el cielo un verbo al cielo.
Is what they want. Chicanos killing Chicanos is what they want. Blacks and Chicanos killing each other is what they want. That's how they run this place. Once we get together, they don't run shit. Got a lot to learn about being Chicano.
Yeah, Alcatraz, midget loco. Yeah. They never seen this coming, man. What up, Loom? What up, Oreo? 500 years of captivity. What else? Now they trying to tell us how we supposed to be, how we supposed to act, how we supposed to rap. How I'm brown but my flow too black. Come on, y'all kidding me, right? Nike Air Flights fitted cock back fresh. Representando mexicanos on the map. No estoy jugando, got bars like I battle on smack. But hold on, I'ma bring it right back. My people indigenous. I'm not sure if you getting this. By the time I'm done, you gon' be feeling this. I come from the people they call Mexica. I've been to the motherland, Chichen Itza. Seen the Mayan ruins, intellectual architects. Been in the cenote, seen ancient artifacts. Really? Cali is Mexico, those are the facts. They raped women, gave elders heart attacks. It was a battle, our people were outgunned. Took life and cattle, we were outdone. However, 2 wars proudly we take to the grave. Those we call our Independence Day. It's time to stand up, educate our people. Stay on our ground, let them know that we equal. We see your plan, but your plan is see-through. You can't stop my people. Mexicano, I'm brown and proud. Mexicano, I'm brown and proud. Mexicano, I'm brown and proud. Mexicano, I'm holding it down.
Yeah. Story with Mexicans, Mexicano. Gave birth to the word that we know as Chicanos. Aztec warrior, man, it's all in my blood. From the Tenochtitlan, that's the heart of the love. Now I'm Mexico City, that's a modern day name. Don't let the books confuse it to be a modern day slave. Gotta get your facts right and study the culture. Don't be like Cortez, he came like a vulture. Came to just steal and take away the land. He seen what we got and he was like, damn, who would've guessed it had to be a white man. Damn again, now we got stolen lands. They say go back to where the fuck you from. Man, this is my land, that's what you stole from us. I'm not Hispanic or Latino, I'm a Mexican. Man, fuck La Milicia, you can have that bitch.
It's time to stand up, educate our people. Stay on our grind, let them know that we equal. We see your plan, but your plan is see-through. You can't stop my people. Mexicano, we're brown and proud. Mexicano, we're brown and proud. Mexicano, we're brown and proud. Mexicano, I'm holding it down, yeah.
When I think of all the years I tried.
Del mar los vieron llegar, mis hermanos emplumados serán los hombres barbados de la profecía esperada. Se oyó la voz del monarca de que el Dios había llegado y les abrimos la puerta. Por temor a lo ignorado, iban montados en bestias, como demonios del mal, iban con fuego en las manos y cubiertos de metal. Solo el valor de unos cuantos les opuso resistencia y al mirar correr la sangre se llenaron de vergüenza, porque los dioses ni comen ni gozan con lo robado. Y cuando nos dimos cuenta ya todo estaba acabado, y en ese error entregamos la grandeza del pasado, y en ese error nos quedamos 300 años esclavos. Se nos quedó el maleficio de brindar al extranjero nuestra fe, nuestra cultura, nuestro pan, nuestro dinero, y le seguimos cambiando oro por cuentas de vidrio y damos nuestras riquezas por sus espejos con brillo. Siglo XX nos siguen llegando rubios y les abrimos la casa y los llamamos amigos, pero si llega cansado un indio de andar la sierra, lo humillamos y lo vemos como extraño por su tierra. Que te muestras humilde ante el extranjero, pero te vuelves soberbio con tus hermanos del pueblo. Oh, maldición de Malinche, enfermedad del presente, ¿cuándo dejarás mi tierra? ¿Cuándo harás libre a mi gente? Antes del nombre América, antes del hierro y la cruz, había pueblos que hablaban con la tierra y con la luz.
No era un mundo vacío, era ciencia y corazón. La historia empezó aquí mismo, aunque el invasor no pida perdón. Sembramos tiempo en el cielo cuando el mundo no sabía contar. El cero nació en la selva, el maíz nos enseñó a pensar. Calendarios y medicina, ciudades frente al sol. No era mito ni leyenda, era pueblo, era voz. No fue descubrimiento, fue invasión. No fue silencio, fue opresión. Antes del mapa, antes de ti, había pueblos completos que no vas a entender. No éramos pasado, somos raíz, aunque nos llamen historia, seguimos aquí. Desde el barro del origen hasta el jaguar ancestral, desde la selva profunda hasta el águila solar, ciudades que eran mundos cuando Europa se partió, capitales que flotaban mientras el viejo mundo ardió. En la montaña aprendimos a vivir sin dominar, sin rueda y sin bestias, pero sabiendo gobernar. Caminos y comunidad, trabajo como misión. El poder no era conquista, era responsabilidad. No fue progreso, fue despojo. No fue fe, fue antojo. Antes del mapa, antes de ti, había pueblos completos que no vas a entender. No éramos pasados, somos raíz, aunque nos llamen historia, seguimos aquí. Hey. 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 Quemaron nombres, vendieron memoria, alzaron fronteras sobre nuestra historia. Nos dijeron atraso para robarnos la voz, civilización a balazos y la fe pa'l control. Pero la tierra recuerda, la raíz no se rinde, aunque cambien las banderas, la herida no se extingue. De norte a sur somos la misma raíz, la misma herida que se niega a morir. De norte a sur nadie sobra aquí, Latinoamérica sigue y no va a pedir permiso para existir.
Ical, hijo, abre los ojos. cuerpo se queda con nosotros, pero tu espíritu debe seguir. Busca la luz. Aléjate de las sombras. Deja que nuestro dolor sea tu fuerza. Desde aquí iluminamos tu camino. Lucha como nosotros ante esta pena tan grande. Yo soy tú. Tú eres yo. La muerte que hoy nos separa, mañana volverá a unirnos. Eres libre, hijo.